the topic for today's webinar and our discussion is identity and access management. So in this discussion and in this webinar, I would like to share what is identity and how we can manage the access for that identity, and why we need to work on managing the access to identities. What are the requirements of managing the access of the identities? In the digital world, why everybody is talking about IAM, identity and access management. Every cloud service provider is talking about the importance and the services which they have related to identity and access management. So today's discussion will be based on identity and access management. Let me introduce myself. I have a slide to introduce myself. What happened? Yeah. So this is my slide, and this introduces all about me. I'm working with Cloud.net technology, and I'm working as a subject matter expert in cloud security with Cloud.net. And I'm a Microsoft certified trainer from last 2 years, and I have a couple of certifications to understand that how Microsoft is providing these security services to their customers, how they are making sure that the customers are having that confidence in sharing their data, storing their data, moving to their infrastructure from on-prem to cloud. So to understand the entire services of Microsoft, I cleared the certification and I'm delivering trainings. I also got a chance to deliver the similar sessions to various international conferences, and I'm part of a lot of communities where I'm helping other people, specifically the women, to come in the security field. So I'm delivering a lot of sessions for women so that they can join this field where we need more women to be taking part of. So, and I'm very passionate in learning new things and delivering sessions. So this is all about me. And now let's start our topic. So before that, let me take a whiteboard. So we will be going to talk about identity first. So I hope that everybody is aware about identity, that what identity is. So for example, I see that few participants name Sam Williams, Abraham, Lerner. These are the names which are coming on my screen as a participants. So these are nothing but the identities which are assigned, like to understand that who you are. So to indicate a person, we are giving certain identity to that person. Now this identity belong to this. So let's say we have Chirag, we have Nitya, Uday, Mohammad Ansari. So all these are the identities which we have provided. When we talk about the digital world, in the digital world, we identify all the people, all the user, all the application which are accessing this digital world and the resources with the help of identities only. And now when we have identities which are trying to access the resources, what all resources you can access, what all applications you can access, all these access will be managed based on the roles and permission which we are giving. This is very, very important to understand that what are roles and permissions we are giving to these identities. So what is happening is, for example, let's say in this session, we all are gathered today. Now, if we will give you the share permission to each and every participant, maybe the chances are that we can have one or two participants, those who are having some malicious intention, they also start sharing their screen. So this will disturb the entire, you can say that the environment and also the learning process which we are having. So we should always be taking care of roles and permissions which we are giving to the identities. Now we understood that identity is nothing but that we have given some kind of, you can say that the characteristics or some values like username we have given, so that we can assign some kind of roles and responsibilities for managing the resources and the application. Now we need to understand that when we talk about cloud environment, how many type of identities we can think of. So in a simple term, I want to discuss all these points. All these topics can be discussed in detail. For every topic, we have a lot of material which you can go and access. This webinar, I'm just trying to introduce you with all these terminologies So later, if you want to learn it, it will be easy for you to understand these kind of services which are available from various cloud service providers. So in cloud, if we talk about, so majorly we can say, we can have first scenario is that you have your on-prem setup. From last couple of years, you are working in the on-prem setup, you are very happy, but now suddenly in the COVID era, you got the requirement of working remotely. Now you want your employees to be accessing the application remotely, wherever they are. Now you have to move your few applications to cloud, or maybe you want to shift entire to cloud. You want to have a hybrid structure of cloud. So now the requirement will come. Then you have to manage the identities which you have created at the on-prem. Now you want to manage these identities at the cloud as well. So in that case, this is not a feasible solution that all these 1 lakh identities which you have created at the on-prem, you are going to create all these identities in the cloud again. So for managing this task, every cloud service provider is giving a facility where we can have some kind of synchronization. So here in today's talk, I'm talking about Microsoft Cloud. So when we talk about Microsoft Cloud, Azure, in Azure, we have a service that is called as Azure AD Connect. This service will help us in synchronizing on-prem identities to Azure AD. Now, when we are synchronizing these identities are able to access all cloud applications with the same username and password, means with the same identity which you have created for the on-prem, same identities can be used to access the cloud applications also. Now it is very easy. If I'll ask you to have a separate account for accessing on-prem, again to have a separate account for this application, again separate account for another application, it will be a very, very complex and tedious job for all the users. And when we shift to cloud, we don't want our users to be overloaded or burdened with so many identities. We want to have a single identity which that user can manage, whether user wants to access on-prem or whether user want to access the cloud application. So this is the one type of identity which we can say, which is known as directory synchronized identity, or we also called it as a hybrid identity, which will work for on-prem and which will also work for the cloud application. And we can use this synchronization technique with the help of the tool, which we know as a Azure AD Connect. And we have other solutions also and as a cloud sync. So all these solutions are available for managing the identities from the on-prem to the cloud application. Another scenario can be, let's say we all are gathered today for this discussion in this webinar. We all can start a project also. Let's say in security platform, we all will be connected together and we started working on a project. So we all from a different organization. We have our registered email IDs with different places. Or maybe we have our IDs created on the Gmail, created on Outlook, or maybe your own organization's mail ID. So in that case, when we are working in a collaborative environment, we need to invite guests also to work and access the resources which we have in our organization. So in that case, the invitation we are sending to the guest users. Now these guest users can be any user to whom you want to give permission to access your resources. You want to give a permission to that user to come and access your application. You want to give permissions to that user so that you can assign some role and responsibilities, some permissions to that user. Let's say for example, let's say in your organization, you are calling third party for auditing, security auditing. So in that case, that person need to have some kind of permissions to access the security settings. Then only that person will be able to give you the right feedback that everything is set up as per the regulations, as per the compliance or not. So in that case, what you will do is you will add your guest user, you will invite your guest user, and this guest user will be added in your organization. And then again, you can have this guest user, guest identity created in your environment. And then this guest user will also be able to access the cloud application based on the roles and permission assigned. Again, at the on-prem, whatever user and password created for the identities, similarly, they can access the cloud application, but again, based on the roles and permissions. Then we have third type of identities which we can create, that is registered with the cloud active directory only, which are cloud identities, which are first created with cloud only. So we have these three major categories of identities where we have on-prem. We can also give identities to application resources, but these are the three user identities which we are creating. On-prem, we can sync on-prem identities with cloud. In case of Azure, we are synchronizing these identities with Azure AD. I will give you demonstrations also that how we can view these identities, how we can give the permissions to these identities, how we can create our own permissions and roles which we want to design for these identities.